The issue in this film is equality. Equality did not come on its own or without any work. Equality was made possible because of the government. In Chapter 18, African Americans gained their freedom through the Civil War. Once the 15th Amendment was formed, African American males were granted the right to vote. Without a well-structured government, these rights would not have been upheld.
In 1867, former slaves had begun to gain political influence and vote in large numbers. Most political influence was limited mainly to voting.
African American delegates participated in the statewide political conventions. Most had been selected by local political meetings, or churches, or union leagues.
Hey Alex, have you read the paper today?
No, what's up?
It says that the 15th Amendment was passed, which means black males can vote. Too bad I'm a girl.
One day, Q. One day.
I sure hope so.
At least it's an improvement.
Maybe it's the beginning of more to come.
After the Civil War, the South was in ruins. Many people began to pack their bags and head west. One major issue in Chapter 19 was equality in the workplace when the economy began to grow. There was a lot of skepticism on how much power the government should have and how much the government should intervene.
Life in the West was harsh and violent, but the promise of cheap land, wealth, and mining drew settlers from the East. However, that life that they had sought for had only enriched a few. Hey, did you hear how much Alex makes?
A whole lot more than us, and just because he's white and man too.
And we work just as hard, if not harder.
Ladies, get back to work. You're not paid to talk.
Might as well get paid to talk if we were you.
In Chapter 20, the issue was child labor laws. Mother Jones stepped in and expressed her beliefs that the government should set the working age at 14 years old.
The labor force was largely composed of unskilled workers, including recent immigrants and growing numbers of women and children. Some children as young as 8 years old worked 12-hour days in coal mines and southern mills.
The only proof required by employers in certain states was a statement from the child's parent. Working class and immigrant parents were often so desperate for income, they forced work permits for their children and told them to lie about their age to ensure a job.
Mother Jones was especially determined to end the exploitation of children in the workplace. She organized a highly publicized week-long march of child workers from Pennsylvania to New York home of President Roosevelt. Losing most of her strikes throughout her life, she saw average wage increase, working conditions improve, and child labor diminish.
A long day at the factory. She sells all this energy.
I just wish little Samantha didn't have to work all those hours all through the night.
We have to bring in the money somehow. But I hear there might be a change. Something called child labor laws?
Num-nums!
I hope so. No child should be working in such conditions, even if the money is low.
Not only is it dangerous, this is a time in life where the kids are supposed to develop and grow away from the factory.
In Chapter 21, the educational, social, and political equality became the main focus of the government. This also brought about the 19th Amendment in the 1920, which guaranteed women's suffrage.
The 19th Amendment, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. With women's employment, the rapid growth of the general population, the number of employed women steadily increased, as did the percentage of women in the workforce. Through all those years, domestic work remained the largest category of employment for women, such as teaching and nursing.
So guess what, Alex?
What?
We women can vote now.
Yeah, thanks to the 19th Amendment, we are now equal, or at least getting there.
I can't wait until the next election to exercise my right to vote.
We are now on the road to equality.
In Chapter 22, when the Depression hit, in 1893, millions of people were unemployed. There were many people who went on strike, including the 750,000 workers from around the nation. The Depression and the hard times that the Depression brought on allowed the Populist Party to rise. The Populist Party believed that the government should do what they were designed to do and supply the people with steady jobs and equality in the workplace.
During the Depression era of 1893, not only were the businesses affected, but farm regions and the railroad connections were devastated by the spreading of the Depression. Lasting 4 years, the Depression increased numbers in unemployment, the homeless, labor strikes, and the death toll. The Populist Party sought to ensure the reconstructing during this time period by demanding the federal government to stand up and take care of its people during these hard times.
So, how much money do you get?
Not enough for the hours I work my butt off, and I end up with a loaf of bread. Just one loaf.
A loaf of bread? Psh, you lucky.
I'm tired of this nonsensical nonsense. It's time we do something about this.
You're right. Let's get the factory together and do a strike.
It's time they listen to us. We'll show them and make them realize we deserve better.
There are many people out there without jobs. These are hard times, but we deserve to have a better pay and live a better life.
I agree. Chapter 24, President Roosevelt played a very important role. He worked to get the government to supply people with such reforms, such as workers' compensation, social justice, graduated income, and regulations to help protect women and children when working their job. Because before that, neither women nor children were treated as equals. Men were not being paid a fair wage for the long hours they worked.
President Roosevelt wasted no time. In one of his first addresses to Congress, he stressed the need for a new political approach. More than any other president since Abraham Lincoln, Roosevelt possessed an activist bent. He sought to avoid the extremes of socialism, so his initial approach to reform was cautious.
So as president, what do you have for me today?
Well, President Roosevelt, you have a few important papers to sign.
What are the papers of?
Reforms like workers' compensation, social justice, and help protect women and children on jobs and graduated income.
I approve.
This nation is on the up, and things will improve. I promise the people, and they expect it. Things mentioned in these chapters, I will not have everyday pleasures such as education, voting, and working regulations. Also, I would not have these rights as a strong government if a strong government had not been formed, allowing me to keep these rights I have as a citizen. You're glad I have rights.
Me too. Who's running for the next election? I can't wait to vote.
Thanks to the government, I'm getting better money and can actually afford to have some spending money.